When you say came crashing down, what are you referring to?
So what happened, I underestimated, obviously, my numbers in the business. So that's the biggest key takeaway for me in the lessons that I've had is understanding your business through your numbers. I didn't value the tax system. I honestly I was flying blind. And at the end, through that journey, doing all the good things, great rapport building, great relationships, but I couldn't hold off the Australian Tax Office any longer, and they're the ones that sent me bankrupt. So it was obviously, looking back now, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, and at the time it certainly wasn't.
What year was this?
2008. Yeah.
And that was across which business, or all of them combined?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the setup was I didn't. That was all personal.
Right. So the whole lot went under.
Yeah, everything.
So you lost everything in 2008?
Everything.
And a lot of that was just to do with tax planning?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
So what you didn't have an accountant or mentorship or?
Nope, nothing.
Yeah.
To be honest, there was a lot of ego driving it. I thought I knew everything.
Yep.
And I'd been in business and looking at other people that were 28 years old as well, and I'm like, they're still living with their mum, and I'm working hard and I've got all these businesses going on. I'm doing all this great stuff, but it didn't. That didn't matter. I didn't know what I didn't know, and through this journey I've had to learn this stuff.
So what was the rebuild phase from that, from the you call it rock bottom, you've lost everything, you've gone tits up in 2008. What was that turnaround period from starting like the Lexus Greats in 2010?
Yep. So the first and foremost, obviously not being able to run or manage a business is difficult, so I'm like, what can I do? So that was where I really lent into some of these ideas around the lighting products, lineal grates, toilet, tapware, you name it. That's how it scaled in a few years to 1,100 different products that I'd put together, and I was trying to market or sell into the marketplace. So all these concepts, it was difficult. To be honest, in that first few years, I felt like I got myself out of the rut by doing all this stuff, but I was still quite naive to what had happened. And even though I was broken, I didn't want to run the business. I didn't want to do anything. All I wanted to do was just hide behind the scenes and make product, because that's what I know how to do best. I can engineer, manufacture anything.
So what did you do to pull yourself out of that, like mentally? Because there was no such thing as ice baths back then, and meditation and all this stuff, like that helped with this type of thing. But like, you're 28 years old.
Yeah.
2008.
Yeah.
You've had multiple businesses, doing some developments, making money. Then all of a sudden the ATO comes in, punches you in the face, sends you bankrupt.
Yeah.
No kids at that time?
Yeah. My son was just born.
The son was just born. So married, son's just born.
Yep.
On your knees.
Yeah.
Mentally.
Yeah.
How did you bring yourself out of it? Who was your support system? What did you do?
Oh, it's hard to talk about it, guys. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's heavy.
When you say it back like that, it definitely brings flashbacks. I was pretty broken, So the underneath level, I was very broken, but I didn't want people to see that. I didn't want people to know what had gone on. I didn't tell any of my family. I didn't tell anyone. I kept all that to myself. So on the surface level, everything looked smooth and coasting along like a duck, just cruising across the top of the water. But underneath, there's all this franticness, and that was all my anxiety, worry, concern. At that stage, The Secret and was one of the books that I'd read, and Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, was something I don't know how I kicked across it or how I picked it up, and I never read a book since grade 6. Never picked up.
That's the book that changed my life as well.
Yeah. And I picked it up, read it, and went, wow, this is pretty interesting. So it was through that little bit of inspiration to just grab myself off the ground, and then look to, okay, if I've screwed this up, how can I get around this? How can I speak to people that haven't screwed it up? Look for further inspiration. So I guess it took a few years. To say, the first few years I was quite broken and upset with myself. But then after that, then I started to build a network of people that actually believed in what I was doing, a network of people that supported what I was doing, not just sitting there having a pity party with me and blaming the tax office and blaming all the things that went wrong or the guy that owed me money and all these sorts of issues. And the more I uncovered, and there's people out there that want to support it.
How did you actually do that though? You're sitting there in 2008, you've got a young child, you're probably dealing with shame and anxiety all at one time.
Yeah.
You're completely unemployable because it's all you've ever done since you were 21.
Yeah.
I've been in business since I was 21. I couldn't do a job. So you got no money, I'm assuming. You can't borrow money. You can't be a director. You said you were creating products in the background. So how do you, because I know a lot of people use it as an excuse, and they're not bankrupt, they're just broke, right? But they're not dealing with the anxiety and shame that would come with bankruptcy and having to manage all this hiding of stuff, right? I went through a similar thing. I didn't go bankrupt, but I went through very tough times. How did you actually, like you said, you were making products. So how do you make products when you've got no money? How do you build a network when you feel embarrassed and not your best self? What were you actually doing at that time to stay in the game from that extremely disadvantaged position?
So right from the 2010 mark, that's where I claim from where the concept and everything started, was my first entry into Asia. That was my first entry over there. And at that time, my silent partner, or my partner in crime, he had connections and had a shed full of random product, that he thought was okay for his building and projects. And when I looked at it all, I said, you're never going to sell any of this. Australia doesn't want this garbage. Let's fire sale this stuff. And with the money that we make out of this fire sale, we'll turn it into some real product. Buy this product, buy this light, buy this fitting. And that's sort of how it got started, with no money, because it was just turning someone's misfortune of buying the wrong stuff and turn it into real stuff. So I did car park sales, garage sales.
Wow.
I did everything I could to get rid of this stuff. Rung mates and said, this stuff's no good, but I'll sell it to you cheap. So yeah.
Is that when I met you? You were trying to sell me cheap Chinese shit?
That's exactly how we met. You're on the hunt for it. So
Touche.
Yeah. No wonder my house flooded.
You love it, cheap, don't you, mate? Hey there. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you want to watch another clip, click here. Or if you want to see the full episode, click here. Bye for now.